Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily Hindu News Analysis. It is 10th June today, and in this video we are going to solve some important articles which are very much relevant for your preparation. But before we will start our discussion, let me give you the brief introduction about our initiative so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. On this platform, every day we upload two videos. You know, every day we upload two videos. In the first one, we discuss the daily news analysis. We take up the most important articles and discuss them and derive the possible prelims or mains based questions from those articles so that it will give the idea how the questions may be asked from these articles or how they are important for your preparation. And in the evening session, we upload another video in which we discuss your static syllabus, and we started with Indian polity. We had promised you that by the month of Jan 2026, we are going to complete your full syllabus in which we are going to include every subject which is relevant for your preparation, whether it would be related to mains or prelims, except we are not going to take here the optional subjects. So this is the initiative which it is all about. If you are interested in it, please do subscribe us, get hit the notification button and get notified whenever we upload the videos on our platform. So this is what it is about. Now without any delay, let's start with our discussion today. As you can see here on the screen, the article is basically about the census. The article is about the census. So let us discuss it. Let us discuss it in a way in which you can get some extra information which was not mentioned in the article, as well as understand the article. Basically, we should, before discussing the census, let's try to analyze what is the need of the census. What is the need of the census? First, we will try to understand this question. Then, we'll try to understand the slight history of the census. We'll try to understand that. After that, we'll try to understand what are the organizations responsible for conducting census. After that, we'll discuss what are the various acts from which the census is derived, and finally we will discuss impact. What would be the impact of the census? Our discussion would revolve around these 5 important questions. So let's discuss it. Let us start with what is the need of the census. If you are living in a country, suppose you are living in a country and you are a democratic country like India. You have population almost 1.4 billion people, and the income is not equally distributed. You need, and you are the nature of your country, the nature of your political the political nature of your country, the constitution, it says that you have the social socialistic approach towards the people of the country. So your approach is very much socialistic. That is, your approach is very much welfare based. You have welfare based approach towards the people of the country. So if you have this much population and there, that there is income inequality, and you don't know exact figures, you don't know exact people whom you want to help. You want to help, but you don't know whom you want to help. Then it would be a mess. You can't help anyone. If you will frame the policies, they would be directed towards those who won't even need them. There would, in our country, there is huge diversification, maybe related to caste, maybe related to religion, maybe related to income. In fact, there is huge diversification, and the policies which you are going to make, they are not going to impact the people who were in really need of that. So for understanding the data, you need to have this data. For understanding that, you need to conduct the census. You need to know where the people live. You need to know their housing pattern, in which houses they live in. You need to know what you should invest in, whether the people, what they need. Do they need the houses? Do they need the food? You need to know what is their economy, how they are prosperous, what is the migration. Whether they are the dwellers of the villages, or they are or they had migrated towards the urban areas. As we had seen from the last few years, from the last I guess 2 to 3 decades, the migration has been very huge, and we don't have the exact figures. The last time the census was conducted, it was in Last time census was conducted in 2011, and it was supposed to be conducted in 2021, but due to COVID-19 and other other we can say other reasons like the elections, which was cited one, and lack of time, we can say due to other reasons the census was not conducted. So we don't have the exact data, and if we don't have the exact data, even if we have so much policies in our country, and if we bring in so much schemes, we are not able to target the people who need them. So for that exact reason, we need what? We need the census. And another reason, we had representation. We have representation. Every constituency is represented by some by certain by an every constituency is represented by an MP in the parliament. So for this purpose, for this representation, we need to know what is the growth of the population. We need to understand the growth of the population with respect to the constituencies, so that with respect that we can target the representation. It should be very much linear. It should be very much proportionate to every constituency. So for all these purposes, whether for making the policies, for targeting the schemes, for understanding the poverty level in our country, for understanding the needs of the people, we need the census. We need the census for the representation, and various other aspects we need census. So in nutshell, if you have to understand it, why do we need census? We need this data to understand the people so that we can help them. This is in nutshell for what we need census. So this is the first question which we answered here. Why do we need census? Now let's go to the little history behind the census, how it was carried out, and what is new about the census which they are going to carry out from the 2027. What is new about it? About the census, if we will jump to the history of the census little bit, if we want to know about the history of the census. First time it was conducted in the year 18 in the modern India in the year 1872, but it was not synchronous. It was not synchronous. That means it was conducted in a few areas, not in whole India. So the first census which was conducted, it was conducted in 1872. It was not synchronous. And the first synchronous census, it was conducted in which year? It was conducted in the year 1881. It was first synchronous census was conducted in the year 1881, and in it every costs were also counted, understood what is the cost of the people. Since 1881 till 2011, it was conducted after every 10 years. So here a point can come to your mind: is it mandatory that census should be conducted after every 10 years? No, there is no such law in our country. Especially maybe in Japan and other countries, there may be laws with respect to the census that it should be conducted in a timely period, but in India it is not like that. The census, it is not mandatory that it should be conducted. It was a convention followed that it should be conducted after every census, after every 10 years it should be conducted, and it was followed till independence. After 1951, the caste census was removed. Only 2 castes were added to it. Basically, before independence, before independence the caste census was removed. Basically, it was during the time of World War II when the British government decided that if we are going to invest in the caste census, if we are going to ask people what their caste is, it would take some lot of time, and time is the money. As it was war time, so they cut it short, and they were not asking the cost, what would be the cost, and they only kept 2 costs, whether it is ST or SCs. Only these 2 were counted, and this practice was followed after the independence too. These are some facts about some historic facts about the census. Now, who is the from where we get this authority? Under which act it is carried out? We need to know under which act the census is carried out. It is carried out under the Census Act of 1948. Please do remember that Census Act of 1948 and Census Rules of 1990 and Census Rules of 1990. And please know that who carries out this exercise? It is the Office of Registrar and Census Commissioners who carry this census. The Office of Registrar and the commissioner and the census commissioner and census commissioner carries out the census, and both of these offices, they come under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So this is some technical facts related to it. Now about the present day census, which they are going to conduct, as I earlier told you, it was supposed to be conducted in 2021. As we know that the last census was conducted in 2011, but in 2021 it was COVID. Because of that it got delayed. I don't understand, when they could conduct the elections, why could not they conduct the census? It got delayed, and when it got delayed, it further kept delaying till 2027. And now in our recent discussion we discussed that how it would be conducted in two phases. In the first one, the housing listing would be done, and in the second, population enumeration would be done. In the first phase, the housing list, where they will understand what kind of houses people live in, whether they are kacha houses or pakka houses, whether they need houses for their dwelling. That is all what they will understand. In the second, population enumeration, they will try to understand what is the replacement rate, they will try to understand what is the fertilization rate, how many children are born, and all that stuff would be understood, so that they can make policies very much precise. About one thing about this data, about this census, that the cost would be added again. Cost census would be done at the same time. Cost census would be done. And about census, please know that it is very important fact. Census, it comes under the union list. A state cannot do it. Bihar government tried to go for the cost census, but they were asked, you cannot do it because it is not in a state list. So what Bihar government did, they said that it is not a cost census, but it is a cost survey. It is a cost survey. So these are some important facts which you need to know, which may be relevant for your preparation. About this census, it would be carried out from 2027, and it would be carried out in two phases. In the first phase, housing list, and second phase, population enumeration. And one great thing about this would be that cost would be added, and another thing that it would be done in the digital format. This time it would be done in the digital format. So this is about the cost census. It is background. And now what is the controversy related to it? Let's try to understand the controversy related to it. Then we will be done with the article here. Let's try to understand the controversy related to it. First, let me rub it. About the cost census, you would have heard, as it is in the article in the constitution, that after every census, the delimitation should be done. So what is delimitation? That it is about the representation of people in the parliament or state legislature assemblies. So the number of seats, the representatives per seat, it would change with respect to the census as the population increases. So with respect to delimitation, there was one concern from the South Indian states. It was during the time of Indira Gandhi, when it was proposed that the countries should, especially the states should go for the population control. And with respect to this, the South Indian states, they did great in it. They controlled the population. But when they were controlling the population, at the same time, the North Indian states, they cared less about the population control. They did not care that much. In the year 1971, this whole discussion is happening in the year 1971. When this happened, and we know that after every census, there should be delimitation. So the South Indian states went to the Mrs. Gandhi, and they asked her that, ma'am, we had controlled the population, we had done everything what was under control, and we are being penalized for that. The good thing we did, but we are being penalized. Ma'am said, how you are being penalized? The South Indian states said that, ma'am, listen, as per the constitution, after every census there should be delimitation, and we know that about the delimitation, it is proportional to the population. Once we had controlled the population, we had reduced the population, our representation will reduce in the parliament as compared to North Indian states who had not controlled it at all. So there would be no proportionality between North Indian states and the South Indian states, to which ma'am agreed, and it was, this was stopped for certain time period. The first about delimitation, please know that it is being conducted many times in India, especially 4 times in India. This question was asked in 2024, 1951 it was conducted, 1961 it was conducted again, and 1971 it was conducted again. After 1971, it was the seats in the parliament was frozen till 2026 census. After that, in 2002 the census was conducted again, but it was major purpose of it, the delimitation was conducted again, but only the seats, only the boundaries were altered, so that there would be equal representation, proportionate representation of the seats. But now till 2026 it has been frozen. So what is the allegation here? That the opposition, they are saying that the government, they deliberately, the government deliberately did what? They deliberately kept, kept postponing the census, so that they would cross the limit of 2026. After 2026, when it would be conducted, usually if it was conducted in 2021, it would have been conducted, another census would have been conducted in 2031. But as they postponed the census till 2026, now after 2026 it would be conducted in 2027. After this, the delimitation would be done when the census would be conducted, and when the delimitation would be done, the South Indian states would lose if it would be done on the population purpose, and the North Indian states will gain in it. So indirectly it is going to impact the election results which are going to be held in 2029. So what is the allegation here? That the government deliberately postpone the election census till 2026, so that they can favor their election in 2029. And also, why it is a census is important? Because recently we saw that the representation of the woman in the legislative assemblies, 106 constitutional amendment act, to implement it, we need what? We need the census, we need the delimitation. So that's why it is very much important. So by this, I hope you had understood the article here, everything what was mentioned, how it is important, how it can change the people, we understood that. And what is the, we went beyond the article, what is the what is the history behind it. So we learned few important facts which could be very much relevant for your preparation with respect to your prelims exam. So with this, let's move to the question which we had framed on this article. Let's try to solve that and understand that. Well, here is the question. The question says, which of the following statements regarding the census of India are correct? First statement, the first complete census in India was conducted in 1881, 100%. The first synchronous census was conducted in year 1881. Second statement, the census of India is conducted under the provisions of the Census Act 1948, 100% correct. Third, the data collected during the census is used for delimitation of constituencies and allocation of the seats in the parliament and state legislatures, correct. Fourth, the Registrar General and the Census Commissioner of India is responsible for conducting the decennial census, 100% correct, and we know that they come under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So with respect to this question, all the four statements are correct, and from the code given below, the correct code would be option D. I hope you had understood the article as well as the question here. Now let's move to the another article and try to solve it. Well, the article is about the how drones are the new face of warfare. About warfare, if we will go back to the history, one thing which we had understood from the history, that only thing which is so dynamic, which is so quickly changing, is the warfare. Earlier we used to do, if we will go to the primitive times, the wars would have been fought using stones. Then we saw in the ancient and medieval times, early medieval times, they were fought by the help of swords. Then we saw that it changed, the cannons were used, swords were used, horses were used, and similarly it went on changing. And then aircrafts came in, bombs came in, different, it is so dynamic, it is changing every time. But recently we are seeing that from the last few decades, last decade, we are seeing that the drones had impacted the new warfare to that extent that it has changed the total dynamics of the warfare. It has changed the total dynamics of the war. We had seen, with respect to the Azerbaijan and Armenia, the example is also cited here, that how the Azerbaijan used the drone technology first time to that extent that it gained the advantage in the warfare. The conflict in the Nicaragua region between the Azerbaijan and Armenia, how the Azerbaijan, they used its drone technology. how they use it is drone technology and got the edge in the warfare. How they, how they use it, very low quality drones, or we can say low quality drones, or low, which were for those drones which were basically for the domestic use, and they had done little, they had done little modification to them, and they used it in such numbers that even the radar system of Armenia, they could detect it, but they were not in a position to down all the, they were not able to position they were not in a position to down all the radars and all the drones at the same time. So what they did, what Armenia did, they let them come in, and at the same time, the warfare technique changed by the Azerbaijan. They sent their aircrafts, and they single-handedly won that conflict. So they single-handedly won that conflict. So this is how the drones are working. And also we had seen the recent example of Ukraine and Russia, how Ukraine used their drones. Russia being the military peak, they have the military peak, they have the technology. Ukraine, comparatively very smaller country with respect to Russia, whether it would be technology, economically very small. So how Ukraine, instead of Russia having all these advantages, they used these low rank drones, the domestic use drones, which were slightly modified, and they used those drones, and they had done the billions of dollars lost to the Russia. They had done the billions of dollars lost to the Russia. So this is how it is playing the game. They are impacting the economy. And similarly, we saw how drones were exchanged between India and Pakistan during Operation Sindoor, how India and Pakistan exchanged the drones, and how we were successful in attacking the areas, in targeting the areas which we believed that they were the terrorist hubs. So this is how the time has changed, how it is impacting the new warfare. And by time it is going to impact more, and it is time for India to be in the race, as right now it is USA, Turkey who are leading, Israel who are leading the drone industry. It is time for India to understand it, to understand the dynamics of it, to understand the impact of it, and also lead in innovation with respect to drones, and be in the race with respect to all these countries, because our enemy, we are surrounded by the nexus of China and Pakistan. So we need to be at the forefront. We need to compete. We don't need to compete with respect to technology with respect to Pakistan, but we have to compete with China to counter Pakistan, because Pakistan is not going to be alone there. They are not going to depend on their technology. They are going to depend on the Chinese technology. So keeping it in the mind, we have to compete with the China if ever we will be competing with the Pakistan. So this China Pakistan hub is Pakistan nexus is reality. So the drones are the reality. It is the new phase of the warfare, and we have to lead this, and we have to learn through the examples from different countries what is happening right now. So this is the crux of the article. I hope you had understood it. Now let's try to solve a small prelims model question on this article. Here the question says, with reference to the applications of drones in modern warfare, consider the following statements. First statement: drones are primarily used for surveillance and reconnaissance, offering real-time intelligence without risking human pilots. 100% correct. Second, loitering munitions, also known as suicide drones, or a type of drones designed to loiter over a target area and strike when a target is identified. 100% correct, and they were used by India during Operation Sindoor, and many other countries use them. Third, the use of drones in warfare has significantly reduced the ethical and legal complexities associated with the armed conflict. No, it is not like that. It is very extreme statement, so it is incorrect. Fourth statement: swarming drone technology involves the coordinated operation of multiple drones to overwhelm enemy defenses. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, what are the correct statements? Statement 1, statement 3, and statement 4. And from the code given below, the correct answer would be statement 1, statement 2, and statement 4. Sorry. From the code given below, the correct answer would be option B, which is 1, 2, and 4. So with this, I hope you had understood this article as well, and also the question here. Now let's move to the another slide and see what article we had brought here. Well, the article is about a new water harvesting model promised to help Rajasthan farmers. You know about Rajasthan, very water secure region. Why very water secure region, and the government is needed to invest in it so that they can do their agriculture in a best way possible, because of the limited water they are forced to grow those crops which are very limited in the temperature range. If the water would be provided, if water has harvesting models would be brought in, then they will they will increase the range of the crops, and it is eventually going to help the farmers. So with respect to this, you know these drones are built, these sorry, not drones, these ponds are built in the area where the water is harvested, and these ponds help in in giving during the these ponds help in providing the accurate amount of water which is needed for different crops. And this helps in what? This helps in the diversification of the crops, which eventually helps the farmer. So basically this is about this water harvesting model promise, which promised to help the Rajasthani farmers, in which construction of large dams and ponds have been done. Construction of large dams and ponds have been done, which eventually are connected to these farmers, to these lands where the farmers would use them, and they could diversify their crops. This is in nutshell what this article is about. So let's try to solve a question on it. Let us see what question can be formed on it. Let's try to solve. Yeah, the question says, which of the following advanced water harvesting technologies can be effectively employed in water scarce region to enhance water availability? Can cloud seeding be employed? Yes. Can desalination of seawater through reverse osmosis? 100% correct, but in Rajasthan there is no seawater. Atmospheric water generation? 100% correct. Smart rainwater harvesting system with the internet of things integration? 100% correct, so that you will come to know exactly when the rains would come and all that. So with respect to this question, all the four statements are correct, and from the code below, the correct code would be option D. Now coming to the another question here, let's try to understand it. Another article here. The article is basically about the asafoetida came to be successfully cultivated in India. The story of how asafoetida came to be successfully cultivated in India. Basically, we don't need to go through the story here because it is not important. But what is important is this asafoetida. It is important how it is harvested. What is the climatic conditions required for it, as it is harvested in the arid and semi-arid regions. What kind of soil should be there? Sandy and rocky. It should not be that much moist. Temperature range should be between -4 degrees centigrade to 35 degree centigrade, and there should be very less rainfall should be there. If the rainfall, it should be around 200 millimeter rainfall, and it has been successfully grown in the Himalayan regions because the temperature suits, the conditions suit there. This is about the asafoetida. It has very antibiotic properties, and it is mostly grown in the areas of Afghanistan and Iran. So this much information is enough for you to crack any question related to asafoetida. And on another slide we had formulated a question. Let's try to solve it. Here the question says, with reference to asafoetida in India, consider the following statement. First statement: India is a major global producer of raw asafoetida, cultivated extensively across its plains. No, we are not major producers, but we are major consumers. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement: the ologum resin, which is the reason for the formation of asafoetida, which is the primary source of asafoetida, is extracted from the leaves of the ferula plant. No, not from the leaves, but from the root. this is extracted, this resin is extracted. So second statement is also incorrect. Third statement, asafoetida has been traditionally used in Indian cuisine and Ayurvedic medicine for its digestive and carminative properties, correct. Fourth, Hathras Hing from Uttar Pradesh has recently received a geographic integration indication tag, geographical indication tag. That is also true. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 3 and statement 4. With this, I hope this much information and the information in the earlier slide is enough for you to crack any question if asked in the prelims about asafoetida. So now let's move to the another slide here. Here the article is how extraction of and producing nickel can be made more sustainable. Basically, it is talking about the nature of extraction, because the nature of extraction of nickel includes the reduction method in it, in which oxygen is reduced, so that oxygen is reduced. For that purpose, what is used? Carbon is used. But here is an issue: when carbon is used in the reduction method, it combines with the carbon and forms carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide, what it does, it leads to the global warming. So but here the researchers say that instead of carbon, we should use we should use the hydrogen. Hydrogen should be used on during the reduction process at the high temperatures. And if it is done, what we will get, what would be the byproduct? Byproduct would be H2O, which is water in the gaseous form. So this can be how it can be more suitable. This is how it can be more suitable. This is the full crux of the article: how we can replace CO2 by H2O while using hydrogen instead of carbon in the reduction process, where O2 is reduced, where oxygen is reduced. How we can replace it? This is the whole crux of it. Now here what becomes important for you is about nickel, where it is produced, about its production, where it is produced. So let's try to answer the question and get idea about it. Here the question says, with regard to global nickel production and its significance, consider the following statements. First statement: Indonesia is currently the world's largest producer of nickel. 100% correct. Indonesia is correct. After that, Indonesia, there is Russia. After Russia there is Philippines. So these are the three top producers of nickel. Second statement: nickel is a critical component in the manufacturing of stainless steel and electric vehicles. 100% correct. The majority of the global nickel reserves are found in the laterite deposits. Correct. Fourth, Canada is known for significantly primary nickel production from its Sudbury Basin. Correct. So with respect to all the four statements, with respect to this question, all the four statements are correct. And here you had got the information about the nickel also, and the issue which was highlighted in the article. Now let's move to the last article which we had brought here. The article is about the India's first e-waste recycling park to be built in Delhi. So this is basically the news. It may come into the statement form, or maybe for state civil service exam they may directly ask you. For UPSC it may come into the statement form. So please, the first e-waste recycling park, it has been where it has been built in Delhi. About e-waste, there are few facts you should know which were highlighted by the UN STAD. They highlighted that India has become the third largest source of e-waste. India is the third largest source of e-waste, one thing. And the second thing which you should know, that a second important highlight which we know, that India has become the first, India has brought its first e-waste recycling park, which is to be built in Delhi. So this is little information about e-waste. This much I guess is important for you for your preparation with respect to the article. So with this we had completed our discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel.